Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? The news today, as it pertains to the Saints and to Michael Thomas, is that the Saints have officially given Michael Thomas the designation that we assumed he would get. Mike Thomas has been placed on the PUP list. That's a physically unable to perform list. So, Thomas will be on the PUP list for training camp. If he starts the season on the PUP list, he must remain on the PUP list for 6 weeks, which means he would not be available to return until week 7 at Seattle, which, incidentally, is the same time when David Onyemata would be coming off of his suspension as well. It's worth noting that there is one sort of out. If Michael Thomas comes off of PUP and is put on the active roster, he could, presumably, return to the team then. He could be a healthy scratch and return to the team before that 6-week designation if they feel like he was progressing quickly enough to be back in time. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. Look, I've read all the reports that you have. And I think it was Ian Rappaport who had it first, who went on Pat McAfee's podcast and essentially laid it out there, which is that Mike Thomas, we know, battled an ankle injury last year. In week 1, he suffered it. Worked his ass off to get back on the field. He did. After the season, had a medical consult with the Saints staff and ultimately decided to go pass on surgery and try to rehab it to get back. Well, in June, apparently, it was clear that surgery was going to be necessary. And so they had the procedure, which comes with a 4-month recovery. Here's the point, because I think a lot of people are taking aim at Mike Thomas today. And yes, Mike has that part of his personality. Let me remind you that after the 2018 season, Mike Thomas was on his 3rd agent. Right before he was about to sign his 5-year, $96 million contract, he was on his 3rd agent. Like, there's parts there that obviously make you go, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. But the thing that's also apparent with Michael Thomas, that I think everyone should acknowledge, is that that's a dude that loves football, that wants to play football, that worked last year to get back on the field with that ankle injury, and even though he clearly wasn't 100%, was trying like heck to get back on the field, and did, and was productive. And the Saints were 6-1 while he was on the field in those 7 games. So I truly, genuinely believe it's a guy that wants to play football. And last year after the season, maybe surgery was recommended, but anybody who's ever gone through any medical situation ever knows you take recommendations from doctors and you do with that information whatever you want. If a doctor recommends surgery, you could go get a second opinion. And one doctor could say, I think you could rehab it. And you ultimately just make the decision with the information you have that you think is best for you. And clearly in this situation, Michael Thomas didn't want to do surgery after the season. He put it off, thought he could rehab it, and clearly that wasn't the case. So now you're in an awful situation, which absolutely sucks. And in hindsight, yes, I wish Michael Thomas had gotten this surgery right after the season, because he would be presumably close to or at 100% to start the season in a year where the Saints desperately need him to be close to or at 100% for a full season, which now they won't have because they have so much financially tied up into him. And it's also a year where you're moving on post Drew Brees and you need your best offensive player on the field, which you're not going to have now likely for the first 6 weeks. But I'm also not just going to sit here and crush Michael Thomas, because he did what I think any other human being would do. Gather information about your medical situation and make the best decision that you feel is right for you and yourself. And it sucks, but It's going to cost him, and it's going to cost this team. But I don't think it's because Michael Thomas is a diva, or he hates football, or he got paid and now is lazy. I don't believe that. Like, everything we've seen from him on the field suggests the exact opposite of that. It's a complete contrast to that. I think he's a guy who loves football, who wants to play, who wants to be out there with his teammates, who wants the ball. Clearly, most number one wide receivers want the ball, and he wants to be able to go make plays. But it's a situation where he took the advisement of doctors, gathered information, made a decision, and he made a bad one. And it's unfortunate. And now the Saints have to figure out a way, likely for 6 weeks, 5 games, to try to exist and maybe thrive without their best offensive player, with respect to Alvin Kamara. Maybe second best offensive player. Now, for what it's worth, if you are looking for maybe some reason to be optimistic, when you look at the odds, the early season odds for the New Orleans Saints are a 3-point favorite against the Packers. They're a 2.5-point favorite against the Panthers. Week 3 against New England is a pick'em. Week 4 against the Giants, the Saints are favored by 5.5. Week 5 against football team, the Saints are favored by 1.5 on the road. And then week 6 is your bye. If you click out the gate, presumably you could be 4-1 heading into your bye, and then you get Michael Thomas and David Onyemata. Well, Onyemata would miss 6 games, so he would miss the week 7 game as well. He'd be back for the Bucs. But you look closer to whole after your bye, maybe in a pretty good spot. Fingers crossed. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.